What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So we made it to 2026 and we're going to be starting with our usual monthly window shopping for January. So as we all know, a lot of stuff has happened in the past month, the Calpheon Ball, a lot of announcements, and yeah, so if you have never seen a window shopping episode before, basically it's when I look at the Central Market and talk about notable item trends and talk about whether items are worth buying, selling, enhancing for profit, and all that stuff. So whether you're a beginner, new returning player, or someone who's just like getting into the end game, this hopefully is supposed to help you. And it's always interesting if you're on a different server to just kind of compare prices. And yeah, so either way, right now we have a lot of events going on. Currently we have the item drop rate and also a life skill thing. So that means materials for enhancing and generally accessory prices are going to be a little bit higher or lower depending on what people are doing. So yeah, as usual, let's go down the list and start with Blackstars. This is more catered towards newer to mid-game players, and generally for Blackstars, the best ones to do is probably Offhand or Awakening Weapon if you're enhancing for profit, but let's confirm that. So the notable ones you should be looking for are Tet and Pen, simply because most people go for Tet and then sell it, or people go for Pen just by raw tapping it. So if you're fail stack building or going for it, this is what the prices are. Okay, so main hand, probably around 9 billion, and here's how it works. If you're trying to buy a Blackstar because you want to use it, I guarantee you if you put it at minimum, it will fill within like less than 24 hours, even faster, just because there's a lot of people trying to sell it. So yeah, so let's see, Tet is 9 billion, and if you put an order at Pen for like minimum or halfway, like let's say roughly within the middle between blue and red, it'll probably fill instantly. So 9 billion to 42 is what main is looking at. Awakening, let's see, a little under 11 billion and kind of like roughly the same for Pen. So once again, enhancing to Tet and selling it is probably going to be Awakening or Offhand as expected. Not this one. So it seems like there are less orders. It's kind of the same price, Awakening and Offhand, if you're trying to sell it, but there's probably less orders of people selling for Offhand. And then you'll probably make slightly more on the Pen, but man, it's been crazy. Ever since they announced in the Calpheon Ball that people are going to get more Pen Blackstars from the Olvia Academy, that just straight tanked. And then, yeah, so people are like panic selling, even though it's really not a big deal. And also, the Olvia Academy actually got delayed until late January. No one's surprised, but there it is. All right, so that's the weapons. All right, armors. We're just gonna quickly speed run this one because nowadays I'd like to think that most people are in their Fallen God stage of the game. Whether you have like duo or try, you got your one free one from Fugar from the seasonal catch up. So let's see, what are the prices for tries? Have they gone up or down? It's kind of the same as last month, to be honest. I didn't really expect anything to change because nothing would have changed, I guess. So let's see. Yeah, I guess they're the same for all four pieces. And I'm just going to give you a little thing. If you are one of those people that likes self-enhancing, here's what you do. I think you should buy it at like, you should probably buy it at try or duo. It's probably going to cost more if you buy it at duo, slamming it to try with today's prices. But some people live for that 10% success rate. So I'll just tell it to you from the start. If you're one of those people, base to pry, you'd probably use like 100 to 110 stack, or maybe even lower. Like you could probably start at like 90 to 100. Pry to duo, you use like 120 to 150, and then duo to try like 150 to 180-ish stack. You could probably go up to 200. I think 200 is a little bit high, but you could do that because the price of duo to try is, you know, roughly 20 bill. So at the fail stack cost of that to make it 200 is probably a couple billion. So making 200 is not that big of a deal. And then try to tet, because the price jump is like 4 times the amount. I personally have used a 240 or like 250 to 280. So 3 out of 4 pieces, I want 245, and then 1 piece wouldn't go, and I just want like 280. But the cost of saving up 170 billion for most people is actually very difficult. It's just because there's a lot of other upgrades, and then just, you know, grinding out 170 billion silver is time consuming of itself. So I'd recommend most people to hope for the best and RNG tap it, because I think on average you will get this cheaper, assuming you're using a proper stack. So yeah, I like, ideally you could, like, the best way to do it is buy it, but the price is so expensive to the point where I don't think people who are saving up 170 billion for this one are at like 330 AP, so you're probably a little bit lower than that, if not, you know, roughly around the area. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of other things. If this is your next priority upgrade, you might as well just try to enhance this one yourself. That's what I would do, just because it's tough. So I still think that they should lower the pity system from 50. 50 is a very outdated number, maybe like 20 these days from try to tet. And even then, that's like 100 billion, assuming the worst, but it would still line up with prices. Maybe like literally cut this 50 into like 20, 25, and it would be breaking even at very worst. So yeah, it's a little bit outdated. It's rough, but it is what it is. Until Pearl Abyss changes it, it's nothing we can do about it. Okay, so one thing we're going to be talking about that's a little bit different is actually Manos clothes. I didn't forget about you life skillers. As we all know, fishing is probably this one is like, it's gone down and up again. The reason why we're talking about this one is they announced that they're going to try to make spots competitive with Velia Coast, or the beach area that everyone fishes at. So there's obviously spots that are better than Velia, but there's also a lot that are worse. So we're taking Velia as the minimum baseline, according to that's what Pearl Abyss wants to do. So yeah, I think people are trying to get into fishing more. I think if you have a Tet armor, it's generally good enough. Like, if you were, like, from my experience, you don't really need any mastery or very little mastery to grind or fish here, and then you're doing fine. The real part of where you need mastery is if you are fishing in, you know, spots like Tigris, or you're going literally Margoria fishing. That's where you need the mastery. But like, if you're just sitting at Velia, you really need minimal. So that's one of those things where, here's what I would do if I was starting out. If you're going, like, starting out and all you care about is Velia fishing, you can get away with like a try or tet and be fine. Obviously more mastery is always better, but like, is it as important? And then the fishing chair, I would do my best to get like a tet one. Like 3 billion for a tet chair that gives 300 mastery is very cheap. Or like, you'll make that back in maybe a day or two. So try to get at least a tet. And then pen is if you are going out of your way to actually do something like fishing in different areas. Yeah, life tools have actually been going up and down in price. So if you're going for straight gathering XP, the hoe is the best one. The price is going up, and then I think that's a good one to get at pen. If you're doing like niche things, these are probably the cheapest one. going like it's going up, but it's not really important up. So tanning, something to look at as well. Fluid collecting is probably, you know, people are switching off this one. I don't think this is bad. I think fluid collecting is actually a very good one. Bloods and saps is actually very good. I'm actually kind of surprised it's going down, but I guess people have enough sap for a while and are switching to other things. And you know how in the Calpheon Ball, they talked about there's going to be a new gathering treasure item that allows you to basically teleport to your residence. You're going to have to do all the gathering, and so it's probably a good idea to start investing into Manos tools at some point. I think the most annoying one is realistically going to be tanning, just because like most people don't really need to do it, and then everything else should be pretty easy. And so yeah, that's about it. I think, let's see, what is the butcher knife at? Going down, stabilizing, rough. Well, I know this looks weird, but and it's like at an all-time high right now, or very close to it. But trust me, meats kind of go up and down pretty regularly if you look at the cooking market. And so I've seen this go down and up pretty drastically. Okay, so let's see. Let's talk about what I want to look at is mostly Preonnes this time around, but let's take a quick look at Debos. Let's see. Oh my god, 30 bill for a Tet Debo these days. New players. What does this look like? Holy, that's crazy. So the order you should be going for Tet or Pen accessories, assuming you are using them for Charizard and upgrades. Neck first because it gives the most AP, followed by rings or belt. I believe the belt might be cheaper, so let's see, 20, let's say 30 billion for a ring. Belt is, nope, it's, I mean, it has a lower minimum, which will probably fill, to be honest. The reason why the ones with like 2 slots are generally higher is because less supply of them, because people are buying it. So in terms of like silver value, probably this one first, like the belt first, over the rings, just because that supply and demand. But anyway, either way, necklace always goes first because most stats, and then followed by ring and belt, and then the earrings are last because it gives the least amount of stats and probably the most expensive. Historically, Deboreka earrings are the most expensive, and if you can get it at minimum, it's kind of the same. But either way, in terms of stat value for silver, it's like 22 versus 26. So like this should be your last one to pick. All right, so the other day I actually saw deck Preonnes just sitting on the market. Yep, they're still sitting on the market. Dude, I am so convinced that life skillers have it so easy. Like you can actually just buy deck Preonnes, but then I wish you could sell Charizards on the market. Like if you could sell a deck Charizard, I wonder how much that would be. Actually, no. If you were to fail everything, I would say probably it's around like 500-600, maybe 700 billion. But like, let's say you buy a pen, you buy a pen Debo that's 180 billion. Going from 0 to 30 pity is, I believe, wait, let me check. Do I have it? Let's see. Do I actually have this? I keep that. Must have deleted it. Either way, it's around like 300 billion from Nov to deck if you pity it. So yeah, I would say if you were to sell a deck Charizard, like if it was able, it'd probably be around like 400, 500 billion. Like we all know Pearl Abyss kind of like scuffs the market not to put it at max. So I think that's roughly around how much they would put a deck at. So Preonne being at 300 is actually pretty cheap. And the fact that some of them just sit on the market is kind of insane. Like if I had 300 bill, I would buy a deck Preonne just to skip the entire enhancing process. Is pretty nice. And yeah, life skillers, I think realistically for life skillers, the breakpoints are, you know how like every 50 mastery you get like a new bracket. So this is where things change. So you know how it gives 10% life XP up until pen, and then hex is the new bracket for life XP, but obviously mastery goes up every time. And then yeah, so you kind of want to sit either at hex as a soft cap, or obviously go as high as you can. But for most people, your average player, hex is probably going to be the stopping, or like soft cap point for most people. And then obviously people who have more silver just buy like at the highest tier you can. You know what's crazy? Like Octanav, the enhance is kind of crazy. So like I would honestly, if I was sitting at 200 billion, right, and I'm like, should I buy this Oct or go to deck? I would literally rather just save up, because I guarantee you your average person is going to spend more silver self-enhancing it than buying it. So yep, from 330 to 200 for 2 different tiers, I would literally just save the silver. Life skill gear is always been a weird thing. Like the numbers don't like they add up, but it's not like, is it worth it? Not really. Okay, so next we are going to be looking at some of the Lightstones, the important ones. Let's start with the ones that matter. Most people at the mid to end game are moving into Amplified, so that's basically the upgraded version if you can grind Adania. And Twisted will probably always be relevant, simply because most people cannot reach Zephyros AP cap unless you have literally like double Nav and full, like basically your gear looks like this but plus 1 Nav and maybe one deck. It's very hard to reach the 2010 effective without like actual full buffed and perfect gear everything. So yeah, Amplified and just Twisteds in general is extremely important. And even for Tenebrom, for your average geared player, like these will allow you, like using Twisteds will allow you to use different crystals. So like this is what I use, the difference. And yeah, even then you still need the Han crystal to grind the higher end spots and then like almost perfect gear. So yeah, it's one of those things where Twisted will stay relevant for a really long time. Where was it? Artifacts. What are the other ones? Strike crystals. You guys remember when strike crystals were down at like 1 billion? And they're going up again because new players are trying to go for all-out attack and everything. There's actually a lot of usages for strike crystals to show you. So you need 1 strike crystal if you're going for target openings. You need 1 if you're going for vicious shadows, and then 2 if you're going for all-out attack. So just keep that in mind. Chances are most people will need at least 1 of them. That's why the prices of that will always be relevant. Everything else is, yeah, this is for the Amplified. By the way, if you're not at endgame and you can't grind Adania spots, literally 2 billion silver, just buy the Amplified one. Trust me, like the amount of end times you have to grind versus just buying it. I know, like in terms of silver value, it's not really, it's kind of sketch. Magical shards are on high demand right now, and so are end times. So just spending 2 billion and just buying the Amplified is definitely worth it. All right, let's see what else is important. Most DP stones, unless you're PvPer, are kind of irrelevant. The ones that I would recommend for people is the Amplified, the combat ones. I don't think these are going to sell, just because like amplifying it, the magical shards and the amplify or end times literally cost like 4 times the amount. So I would say if these were like 1 billion silver, then they might be selling. But the truth is, like, if you want the XP ones, you're going to have to make them yourself. That's what it is. So, yep, that's about it. Life skill ones are... I am kind of glad, actually, right now. I assume in the future, they're probably going to allow you to amplify life skill Lightstones. But until then, I'm actually kind of glad that they don't, because there's a lot of things to work on. Iridescents are shockingly going back up in price as usual. I remember last update, or like last window shopping episode, I was like, hey, you guys should buy it. Or like two months ago, every month, I'm like, hey, you guys should buy this because it's at an all-time low. And here we are. So I remember when they were like 1.1, 1.2 billion. Now they're literally doubled. So, yep, I told everyone. All right. Going into materials, we currently have an event going on that basically 100% every life skill and grinding, so that's why prices are probably at a different one. People panic bought. This is the time when people panic bought all the sharps, because we were supposed to get the Alchemy Stone change, but then they delayed it for, 3 weeks. No one's surprised once again. Then it kind of just started going down because we have 3 more weeks of downtime until it comes out. Then it'll probably go up again. But until then, Gathering got a buff, so you make a lot of these an hour now, which is actually pretty good. Memfrags. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you. As long as those Pearl Gamba boxes are in the game, these will probably never go back up to 6 million each, because people are getting so many of them from, just the gamble boxes and spending real money on it. So until that day happens, if you need them, just buy it at the current price. It is what it is. Origins have actually sunk back down to minimum price again. This timeline was when, well, I guess a little bit more, from when Adania came out and people were going for the Adania armors, when it went up to like 2 billion per origin, and now it's sitting at minimum because most people are at like a point where getting upgrades for your Adania gear is very expensive, and like very low success rate. So I believe, in case you guys are wondering, pen to hex on like a 300 stack is like a 7%, 7 to 10%, depending on what your stack is, going from 300 to 400. So it's actually very low. And then obviously it goes down like a percent or two every tier up using the same fail stacks. So yeah, it's getting very difficult. I know there are people, if you guys have seen streamers and everything, they're like, oh, you have a Oct armor, but everything else is pen. So they're just going for the glow. It's nothing really that much more unique. It's just about the like special effect glow, kind of like, your weapons and stuff. So if you're going for efficiency, though, you should be upgrading them one at a time. Like, get these to hex, and then go for set for everything, and then go for Oct for everything. But ultimately, at the end of the day, after a certain point in the game, like DP, the way they're going with Adania is like, it doesn't matter how much gear. There are people with like triple decks already or something, and they still take a lot of damage at higher end spots. It's weird, like how DP means so little in PvE these days. Essence of Dawn, I actually don't know why. So they're sitting, but you know what's weird about this? Like a couple of months ago, you were able to buy them at like the lowest points you were ever able to, and now they're just sitting. So I was like, at this point, last month, I was like, oh, are people all done with their Essence of Dawn, Charizard enhancing? Nope, apparently not. I guess more people are coming into the game again. And so there's that. Let's see, what else are we talking about? We talked about life tools. Alchemy Stone change that's coming next month. So we talked about this in the patch notes, or the Global Lab one. The price of this is probably going to be, I would say, about 1 trillion silver for a Splendid, and then a little under, what is it, 4 trillion for a Shining. Once again, this is all endgame stuff. If you're still rocking a Vel, which I would assume 99% of you are, probably fine right now. But until we have actual numbers going into January, it's hard to say what the averages are going to be. But here's what I'd recommend for all of you guys. If you can get a Sharp or a Resplendent, you're going to be saving 1 or 2 weeks in terms of materials. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you get materials off Rift bosses. Well, not yet, soon, TM. And then use those materials to upgrade your Alchemy Stone with Crons. So then that's from here to here is about a 2-week difference, which ultimately is not that bad in terms of long term. But then going from Splendid and then to Shining is where the huge grind begins. And even then, it's really, it's bad, but it's not that bad. Like 3 trillion silver sounds like a lot, and it is. But in the grand scheme of things, like 3 trillion is not bad compared to some of the other things you can be going for and RNG. So anyway, that's assuming the worst, by the way, like you full pity everything. There are obviously people that are going to get RNG carried as usual and then just one tap it. But yeah, if you're not at this point yet, it's fine. I assume they're going to be sitting on the market, maybe not in the near future, but like eventually they're just going to start sitting. People are going to sell them for whatever price. So yeah, that's a good thing. I'm just glad that they're reworking it. But is it overall, dude, a lot of people just have mixed opinions on this one. So just ask other people what they think and they'll tell you. Lightstone, Khan's Heart got a buff, and that's why there's a lot sitting, because it now has what is it, 30% life XP on it. They added that one, and so it's, you know, actually pretty good now. Let's see, let's talk about licenses again. It's kind of exactly what I expected. Valor is the PvP boat, Volante is the speed boat, like, and Advance is the barter boat, and Balance doesn't do anything particularly well. It's just collectors. So depending on what you want to do, get the ship or the right one for you. And yeah, they're all actually, I mean, they're all pretty good no matter what you do. Balance is probably the worst of them, but like you can't really go wrong picking one or the other if you like it. One day, maybe they'll allow us to actually sell Voltarian horses, and, you know, that's probably not this year, but the next year. And then everything else, there's nothing really notable to talk about, or nothing really changed. But that's all I wanted to talk about for today. So yeah, we are in a weird period where things are coming soon, but also, you know, things are also going up in price as well. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Before you head out, I wanted to talk about the code on screen. So we currently have a supporter content creator event going on. And if you're thinking about buying any pearls, or you're trying out the game and you want to upgrade the game package, you could use my code and I get a small portion of it. Always appreciated. And that's all I want to say. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. We've got a bunch of videos coming out in the near future. So I will see you tomorrow. Peace.